And welcome back, everybody, to the Podcaster Nation. That's right. I said welcome back because I know you were just listening to our stuff and you came back because you wanted more. Folks, we have a lot more for you because this is the podcast that's about podcasters. It's for podcasters and it's done by podcasters. And our guest today is a podcaster. That's right. It's me. It's a solo episode. Thank you for joining me. Folks, this is a place where we all come together to raise each other up, and this is the place where the rising tide truly raises all ships. So let's get sailing and introduce today's guest. Today's guest is a podcast coach. He's an all-around great guy. He's incredibly handsome. At least that's what I hear. And he absolutely loves podcasting and everything that has to do with it. Please welcome to the studio, Rory Paquette. Oh, hey, I'm here already. All right. Thank you, folks. Clearly, I've had too much coffee. Not that there is such a thing. If you know me, you know that really you can never have too much coffee. Thank you for joining us today. We have another extension on our Becoming a Better Host series. This is episode 4. All right. The first 3 are episodes 67, 68, and 69. So if you haven't heard those, go back and listen. This is another, hey, episode chock full of free tidbits and things like that. But the big thing we're going to be talking about today is the pre-interview. Yes, the pre-interview. All right. I know. You're tired of all the pomp and circumstance. You've had it with all the prelude and the lead in. Let's get right to it. Folks, hate it. Absolutely hate it. Just hate it. And let me tell you why. I schedule all my stuff for 90 minutes. Now, most of you in this group have been on my podcast at some point, and you understand that. You've heard it. And folks, 90 minutes. The reason I do that is because that gives me 15 minutes if I need it for an intro, a pre-interview, if you will, to talk to the folks. Hey, how you doing? What are we going to talk about today? Here it is. It gives me 45 minutes to an hour for the actual interview. It gives me 10, 15 minutes to wrap up and say, man, that was great. Listen, let me make sure I got your links right. And we got this set up for you. Okay, well, hey, now where do you want me to send the links when we're done and when it comes out? That's, 90 minutes. Okay. And even if it's short, what happens if someone's 10 minutes late? What happens if you wait 15 minutes before you call and someone shows up at minute 14? You're doing the episode, right? So you need that time. Now, the reason I do that time also is because then I can do the pre-interview right there. All right. I schedule once with somebody. And if I do a 10, 15-minute pre-interview with somebody and it's not working, or they're not, you know, wanting to, I don't know, be decent or something on the podcast, well, then I won't record. I'd be like, you know what? I'm sorry. I made a mistake. This wasn't a great fit. Thanks anyway. What I'm seeing with everybody is this just utterly ridiculous practice of doing an entire pre-interview with somebody. And I mean, these are lasting half an hour, 45 minutes sometimes. You're doing the interview, but they're doing a pre-interview with somebody that's that long and then deciding if they want to have them on. Most of the time, they're going to after they've invested that time. And then they're sitting down a second time. Now, I want you to think about all the time that this takes, first of all, because time is big. We don't get more of it. We only have what we have. So I have to schedule that time. That takes time just to get the schedule together. We have to confirm. We have to be there. We're setting up links and everything else, right? I'm sending links over, going, here's the link. Then we get there to the pre-interview and we're talking. It's the first time we're talking. And we're going through all this stuff. And I go, wow, this is great. I can't wait to do this. And I decide to have him on my show. We're going to come back to all this, believe me. Now I've decided to have him on the show. I have to go and do another actual interview with them. And it's not going to take me less time now because I'm still going to have a couple minutes at the beginning going, hey, how you doing? Everything good? All right. So what we talked about last time, we're all set. All right, great. I'm still going to take a couple of minutes just to be nice and cordial. How's your day going? Where are you calling in from today? Simple stuff. And I'm still going to have to go 45 minutes to an hour for the interview. I'm still going to have a little bit of a wrap up. And, God forbid if they're late, well, now I've just still used the same 90-minute period that I've blocked off from everybody else that nobody else can have. Time wise, there's no good reason to do a full-fledged pre-interview anymore in this day and age. There just isn't. Okay. Now, That's just the time that's involved. I have to literally go into my Calendly and I have to book two sessions instead of one. Now, if you're a professional podcaster or someone who's very serious about it or trying to get serious about it, you just gave away a booking period that could have made you money. You could have coached during that period. You could have sent out emails for your product during that period. You could have done social media posts advertising your whatever your product is or your course or anything else that you have to sell or that you're trying to make money on. You could have spent that time calling potential sponsors. That time is gone. So time-wise, absolutely no reason to do a pre-interview. Now, let's talk about why we do them, right? Oh, well, because I want to make sure, I want to feel good. I want to be comfortable with this person before they come on the show. I have a friend of mine who did a full pre-interview with somebody before they came on his show. And during the pre-interview, that the guy he was interviewing was absolutely wonderful. Talked about all the stuff that had to do with his particular niche. He said, "This is what I want to talk about on your show." It was absolutely well behaved. Got through the entire uh, uh, pre-interview and said, "Great, all right, well, I'll have you on. Here's the date." Guy comes on the show. They're recording the show itself. He goes completely south. He abandons everything that they talked about in the pre-interview and takes the opportunity to just bash his former employer. Folks, there's a lot more to that episode that makes it a lot more egregious, but I don't want to give away who it was. But this guy, this podcaster, this friend of mine, did everything he could do to make sure that that wouldn't happen, and it still happened. Okay. Now, I have people go, well, I want to be comfortable. I don't know, I need to know what kind of guests they are. Can they hold a conversation? Can they, go back and forth with answers? Let me tell you how you get past that without wasting an entire period on your Calendly. You listen to their podcast if they have one. Take 10, 15 minutes and listen to their podcast. If the person coming on your show has written a book, they're probably going to be on somebody else's podcast as a guest, unless you are the first time they've ever guested, right? Listen to one of those. I was explaining this to somebody the other day, and they said, "Well, Rory, I don't have any way to look that up." I, okay. Yeah, you do. Go to Spotify and just type in their name in the search bar. It's going to bring up anything they posted, any podcast they've been on, wherever their name's been advertised as a keyword, it shows up. Spend 10 minutes listening to them as a guest. Oh, well, I don't have time for that. You don't have time to spend 10 minutes listening to a podcast episode where the person who you want to bring on as a guest is actually being a guest. But you do have time to book 60 or 90 minutes or whatever your calendar says for an entire pre-interview process. If I wasn't wearing my glasses, I would slap my head right now and go, I could have had a V8. Folks, there's no reason, none. Do 10 minutes of research. You're going to find out all you need to know about whether or not this person should come on your show. That's it. And if you don't have any of those things, if they've never been on a podcast and this is the first time they're coming on your show, right? First time they're coming on any show, go look at their social media. More than likely, they're speaking on their social media someplace in a video, or they've written something on their social media that tells you what they are, or they've, responded to something or given an opinion on something. Folks, we are who we are on our own social media feeds. If you had never heard me as a host of a podcast and you never heard me as a guest of a podcast and you just went and looked me up on Facebook or on Instagram, you would know everything you need to know about me. There's nothing on there that's misleading or false. I posted it. So it's me. Okay. Folks, it's almost like we're all doing it just because it's the thing to do. Okay. I recently got back into podcast guesting because I wanted to get my feet back in the water on the other side of the table. And it's amazing to me how many people want to have this pre-interview. And I'm like, no, I don't do pre-interviews. I'm happy to show up early and have a 15-minute conversation with you before we record, but that's it. I don't do pre-interviews. Most people are like, fine, I get you, no problem. Come on anyway. I'll go right past the pre-interview. One podcast asked me to be on. I said, listen, I'd love to come on. I've listened to your podcast. I know what you do. See, I took the time to listen to theirs. I said, but I'm not going to do that because I'm doing 10 to 12 appointments a day between coaching sessions and interviews. If I interviewed everybody twice and got interviewed twice, I'd be buried alive. And one podcast that asked me to be on, and I said, no, I don't do pre-interviews, never got back to me. Apparently that was a deal breaker. This podcast followed me on Instagram. They took the time to follow me on Instagram. They could have listened to any of the podcasts that I've hosted. I have 3 of them that are out there right now that are all live. They could have listened to me as a guest on somewhere around 100 to 150 episodes that I've guested on over the last few years. But no, they wanted their own pre-interview. That was a deal breaker. You know what? I said, bye. I don't need to be on that podcast. It was just crazy. Folks, I'm not going to get into the whole guesting side of that because I'm going to do a separate episode on guesting. Okay. But right now, this is about hosting. And this is about hosting your show and going with a pre-interview. We've talked about all these things. Let me talk about what I think is the most important reason, even with all those other things that are great reasons that I've already said, but the most important reason to not do a pre-interview. And that is you can only have a first conversation once. If I sit down with you as my guest and I talk to you for half an hour, I'm interviewing you. I'm finding out things about you. I'm finding out your story. I'm hearing about the obstacles you've overcome. I'm hearing about the hardships that you've had to face. I'm hearing about your mission and your future and your goals and your dreams. And I'm reacting to them, and we're probably having a spectacular conversation. That's what I want to record. That's what you should want to record. That's a natural conversation between 2 people. When you do a pre-interview and then you come in for the interview, no matter how hard you try, you're now acting. You're no longer interviewing. You're both playing a role with a script that's already been read. And no matter how hard you try and act like it's the first time you've spoken, no matter how hard you try to act like it's the first interaction you've ever had, it's not. And very often people can see through it. And even if they can't, it doesn't feel the same. It doesn't feel the same to you. It doesn't feel the same to them. Part of what makes podcasting so unbelievably fantastic is the electricity, the energy that you have between you and your guest. It's sitting down and having some of the deepest conversations that you and that person are ever going to have. It's talking about some of the most personal things in your lives. He's talking about hopes, dreams, where I want to go, what I've done. It's also talking about some very heavy stuff. I mean, I've had guests on my show talking about abuse, physical abuse, mental abuse, sexual abuse. I've had people on my show, many, who tear up because they're actually letting this out, because I give them a safe space on the show to say what they want to say, to get it out. That doesn't happen on the show if it happens during the pre-interview. When you do a pre-interview, it's almost like you want to keep your actual show for yourself. And then you want to give all of your listeners the PG-13 version, the rehearsed version. the rerun, the vanilla. What kind of what kind of hosts are we if we give our listeners vanilla and we're keeping the rocky road for ourselves? Ever since I got back into guesting here over the last month, um, I've seen a lot of this. I've seen a lot of the, 47 questions that are sent by certain hosts wanting to know everything there is to know about a guest. I've seen the pre-interview thing. Um, it's awful. It's absolutely awful. And I think that a lot of us are not even sure why we're doing it anymore. From the guesting side, it's awful too. Like I said, I'm going to talk about that in a separate episode. But as hosts, we're the ones who set the stage. We're the ones who hold the reins. And so as we go, so our guests go. If all the podcasters out there are doing pre-interviews, then that's what guests learn is the way to go. I've had guests, I'm talking to, I'm like, yeah, sure. I'd love to have you on my show. Here's a link, schedule the interview. Great. And they're like, oh, is this for the pre-interview? And I'm like, no, I don't do pre-interviews. If you want to come on the show, there's the link. And they don't know what to do. They're like, I thought I had to have a pre-interview first. We've trained them that way. As podcasters, we've trained our guests to look for the pre-interview link, to expect a total waste of their time and having to tell their story twice per show. You're never going to get the most authentic storytelling. You're never going to get the most authentic reaction. You're never going to get the most authentic interchange if you do a pre-interview first. That reason alone makes no sense. The time thing is huge, like we talked about. And what I tell folks is, look, if I have to interview everybody twice, I'm never going to get anything done. Do you really have time in your day to be interviewing every single person you're going to interview twice? I mean, you don't, do you? Then why are you doing it? I hope that you guys will take this into consideration. It's big. And whenever I bring this up, people go, well, but I mean, isn't that what you're supposed to do? And I want to leave you with this. There is no supposed to do. And I've had it up to here with supposed to do. We're podcasters. We own the medium. It's not somebody else's that we're borrowing. It's ours. When you put on the headphones and you sit behind the mic and you hit record, you own your show. I don't think most of you understand how powerful you are. It's your show. Nobody makes the rules except you. Nobody. Don't let anybody tell you how you should run your podcast. Even me. If you love wasting your time on a pre-interview and you think it's just absolutely great to, waste the first story on just you, you know what? Power to you. Because even though I think it's dumb and horrible, you run your show. So even though Rory thinks it's stupid, you still can make that decision to keep doing it if you want to. Or you can say, hey, even though all of podcasting is trying to show me that this is the way to go, I think Rory might be right. My time is valuable. I do want to give the most authentic, most powerful story and conversation to my listeners. And I'm going to make my own rules like Rory does. This is the wild, wild west. We're kicking butt and taking names. And we're finally, finally, finally starting to realize that we answer to no one out here. Folks, as podcasters, we have the power. Use it wisely. You guys are awesome. Please take this into account, and I would love to hear what all of you have to say. Send me some DMs, comment in the group. If you're not in the Podcaster Nation yet, why aren't you? It's free. Join it. I'll let you in. As long as you have a podcast, you're in. No problem. Folks, I can't wait to see you on the inside. All right? This has been another episode of the Podcaster Nation. It's the podcast that's about podcasters. It's for podcasters and it's done by podcasters. This is the place where the rising tide, made up of all of us, the powerful podcasters of the world, this is the place where the rising tide truly raises all ships. So keep sailing.